안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon-Soa in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-pop, K-movies, K-literature, K-everything. Now for today's show, we're joined by our co-host, Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa. Lovely to be here. Hello, everyone. Once again, happy Friday. It's Walter Lee, your co-host for today. And stick around for my K-Enter news coming up very soon.
And we're also joined by our Arirang News reporter, An Sung-jin. It's your first time you're joining us for the Culture Wave, so please introduce us.
Hello. Hello, guys.
To us.
Hello, guys. Excited to be here. And hello to all of our viewers. My name is An Sung-jin, and I'm a news features reporter here at Arirang News. I'm excited to do my best to introduce all sorts of eye-grabbing and fascinating experts and aspects about Korean culture.
We're very much looking forward to your stories. And today, we're actually going to talk about something we probably talked on a daily basis in the past week, which is author Han Kang. But we sure still have more to delve in.
Absolutely, that's right, Soa. So author Han Kang's Nobel Prize literature win is actually a sensation for the entire country even after a week of the announcement. There's much excitement that this will be an opportunity to shed light on Korean literature and boost the country's publishing industry. Let's take a listen to what industry insiders have to say. The first Asian woman to win the Nobel Prize for literature, author Han Kang is being praised as Korean literature's equivalent of K-pop's BTS, both leading figures that reflect Korean culture in the world.
I think this is very nice because I think Korean literature is very good and deserves more recognition, especially abroad.
Seeing an Asian female author in this generation win an award and especially the Nobel Prize is such a big thing, and I do think it's a really big gateway for a lot of females and a lot of minorities.
As well as garnering attention outside of Korea, Han is igniting a small light that is bringing positive change, especially in the printing and publishing industry. This printing company, which had been seeing a decrease in revenue over recent years, has suddenly seen a surge in the number of copies printed. Han Kang's novels are flying off the shelves after her Nobel Prize win. This printing company has been working day and night to meet the demand. After the announcement, staff at this company have turned in their weekend to cater to the requests.
I feel great and thankful to her. I hope more authors get the chance so the publishing company can become even more dynamic. With fewer people reading books these days, I'm hoping this will turn things around.
Written in Korean, her books are easily approachable and enjoyable for domestic readers.
I felt proud as a Korean because I was able to read the book in Korean without having to worry about understanding the nuance or the meaning like other award-winning books.
Han Kang's win is a milestone for Korean literature, but some say more is needed to be done to really develop Korean literature.
I think it's necessary to foster a reading culture which allows people to read and buy books at libraries or bookstores for more occasions like these. It's important because I think Korea still lacks that bit.
Many in the literature industry hope that her Nobel Prize win will rejuvenate the fiction market and potentially even lead to a new boom.
It is great to see that Han Kang's Nobel Prize win has led to this boost in the publishing industry here.
Absolutely. Her award win is like a catalyst to the literature industry, bringing so much vibrant energy. But before I delve in, I want to ask you guys, do you often read?
I have to say I love reading. I love to read, but I don't do it that often anymore. I mean, as a kid, I even got an award in a reading contest, but that's past. What about you, Walter?
Well, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I love to read. Often is not the word I would use these days.
I think a lot of adults these days try to find the time to read books, but it's been really difficult. Like myself, I used to be a bookworm, but nowadays with all the digital media and the short forms, it's been really difficult to keep up with all the paper book and the hard copies. Which is why, compared to 10 years ago, the number of people who actually used to read more than one book over a year has decreased from 70% to nearly 40%, which is the lowest on record since data was first compiled. With more exposure to digital gadgets, we are definitely spending less time on our traditional means of reading, which is why the expert I talked to suggested that we cultivate some sort of environment where more people can read.
And well, a lot of Hangang's books these days have become a rare commodity basically. And now, after this is after winning her Nobel Prize, it's become difficult to buy or even just at least try and borrow a book out. Anywhere where we can find or take a look at her books.
Absolutely great point, and I'm glad that you mentioned that actually, because the Seoul Metropolitan Government runs 3 outdoor libraries nearby the Seoul City Hall, the Gwanghwamun Plaza, and the Cheonggyecheon Stream. At these locations, starting from last week, you can see 10 of her works displayed, including The Vegetarian and Human Acts. Not only can you find Korean and English versions of the books, but you can also find translated copies in 20 different languages, such as Japanese, Chinese, and Arabic. Anyone who comes and visits these outdoor libraries can take a look, and the special exhibition will run until November 10th. So if you guys haven't been there, I would definitely recommend checking it out.
I really wanted to check out one of those outdoor libraries. I have never been there. I mean, I just walked passed by,
right.
but now I have another reason to go there. So thank you very much, Sung-jin, for that report. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. My pleasure as always.
And now time for Walter Lee's K-Enter News. And we're going to start off with some news on Blackpink's Rosé. I think she has a new single out.
Yes, well, it's already out. Yes, Blackpink's Rosé has started part 2 of her solo career. And this time she's joining a pop icon. Now, Rosé announced this on her social media, and it was set to release the single together with Just the Way You Are singer Bruno Mars. Yes, so the single is titled Apart, which is in Korean the word for apartment. This announcement was released on Thursday evening, Korea local time, on the K-pop singer's social media. Now, this single is to go with her Blackpink's artist's full first-length album titled Rosie, and will feature around 12 songs in total. Now, Rosé was all hands on deck when it came to this CD or her new album, because she was composing it as well as writing all the songs, and she says it's more deep and meaningful lyrics and personal stories that are involved in her songs. Now, this is also Rosé's first music release under the new management of The Black label as well.
I really like the title. Sounds so Korean.
It does.
Apart.
Yes.
So the single, I think, is already out. It came out just a little while ago. But what about the release of her album?
Yes, it actually just came out an hour ago. I watched it. I was ready just like everyone else. But if you want her full-length album, you'll have to wait until December 6th.
Oh, December 6th. I'll mark that. So now moving on to some K-pop boy band news. What do you have?
Okay, so the music video for Rock La 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 La, the title track for Stray Kids' mini album Rockstar, released on November 10th, 2023, so just over a year ago, has surpassed 2 million views on YouTube. Now, this is not actually new to Stray Kids. They have 6 videos that have reached over 200 million views.
Amazing.
These include God's Menu, Backdoor, Thunderous, Maniac, and also S-Class. Now, but Rock is the first song by a 4th generation K-pop boy group to enter the US Billboard Hot 100, which earned Stray Kids their 4th consecutive #1 on the Billboard 200. Now, Stray Kids are the 8-member group that was formed under JYP Entertainment, and they debuted in 2018, and they've been a mega hit since.
They've been a mega hit since then, and also globally. And speaking of which, they are currently on a tour, I believe?
That's correct. They're currently on their new world tour, the Stray Kids World Tour called Domin 8, with an emphasis on the 8, with an upcoming performance scheduled for October 19th at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, Australia. They're also going to be performing in cities such as Tokyo, Manila, Macau, Osaka, Bangkok, Jakarta, Hong Kong, and more.
Wow, okay. So last but not least, let's talk about an exciting group, Cat's Eyes.
Yes, let's talk
Cat's
about
Eye,
them.
that
Cat's
is.
Eye, that is. The K-pop multinational girl group Cat's Eye, and their song Touch has surpassed 100 million streams on the world's biggest streaming platform, Spotify. Now, according to Spotify on Thursday, Touch, one of the double title tracks from Cat's Eye's EP, SIS or SIS, Soft is Strong, surpassed 101.6 million cumulative streams as of October 15th, achieving the milestone just 82 days after its release. Now, this makes Touch the first Cat's Eye song to reach 100 million streams on Spotify. Now, Cat's Eye has also been steadily making its mark in the US Billboard charts. Touch is ranked 98th on the latest Billboard Global excluding the US chart and 124th on the Global 200 chart. Now, Cat's Eye, if you want to see them, they are set to appear at the 2024 Mama Awards, scheduled to take place in Los Angeles on November 21st.
Looking forward to that, and really great achievements.
So
thank you very much, Walter, for those K-Inter news.
I'll stick around.
And now it's time for other culture-related news with our AI anchor, Ari.
Hello and welcome to the Culture Wave AI News. I am Ari, your AI guide to the latest in cultural news and information, with a special focus on all things Korea. Let's jump into our first story of the day. The Korean Cultural Center in the UK announced on Friday that a bestseller special exhibition will be held to celebrate novelist Han Kang's achievement of winning the Nobel Prize in Literature. There will be a section dedicated to Han Kang's works, while the work of other contemporary literary writers will also be introduced, showcasing the past and present of how Korean literature has developed over the years. The exhibition will run from November 28th to January 19th of next year, in collaboration with the National Museum of Korean History, the Korean Literature Translation Institute, the National Heritage Administration, and the Yoon Dong-ju Memorial Hall. On Thursday, the mayor of Seoul, Oh Se-hoon, attended the opening ceremony of Korea's largest design festival, Seoul Design 2024, at the Dongdaemun Design Plaza in central Seoul under the theme Imagine Tomorrow. During his speech, Mayor Oh highlighted the importance of the design industry and expressed support for making Seoul a city for design rivaling Milan or Paris. The festival will run for 10 days until October 27. The 16th edition of the annual Gangneung Coffee Festival will be held from October 24th to the 27th. Rather than its usual indoor exhibition format, this year's festival will be held outdoors, along Gangneung Coffee Street and throughout the city. Gangneung City said the venue change was to promote the harmonious blend of coffee and the ocean. Coffee lovers and experts from around the country will gather to enjoy a variety of coffee tasting experiences, including seminars and performance events. And those are the stories I have for you today. I'll be back with more next week. Have a great weekend.
October is usually considered a relatively slow season for movies. However, a wide range of Korean films have been hitting theaters this month, from thrillers to comedies and romance. Today, in our Culture Issue segment, we take a glimpse into the hottest K-movies out right now. For that, we are joined by professor and filmmaker Jae So from the Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome, Professor So.
Nice to be. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for joining us. So, Professor Soo, data released just yesterday on Thursday showed that Korean movies hit a record figure when it comes to sales as well as audiences. So, this is especially on the back of the successful movie I, the Executioner, or Veteran 2, known as Veteran 2 in Korea. So that has surpassed 7 million views. So really, let's start with I, the Executioner. What is behind the popularity of this movie?
Well, first of all, 9 years ago, the original one, Veteran 1, so this is a sequel to that, and that did something like 13 million audiences at the box office, a huge hit. And I think, you know, when Veteran 2 was coming out, it went to Cannes Film Festival, and everybody was talking about it. So there's a real buildup before the movie was released, and you know, you already have a built-in audience. So it's sort of like the Roundup series, where after we had COVID and everybody was coming slowly back to the movie theaters, like the movies that did really well are sort of the sequels. Because number one, you know what the story is a little bit, you know the characters, so there's a familiarity with it. So again, going back to the original Veteran 1, it was about basically this, you know, detective, So Do-chul, played by Hwang Jung-min, a great actor, and he has his own sort of cast of characters behind him that he's after. He's sort of like this really hard-hitting, you know, like stubborn detective that really goes after, you know, the bad guys. And the first one is about personal revenge. It was about the serial killer who happens to be, you know, super rich. So Yoo Ah-in played the serial killer that was like kind of this rich kid. And in this sequel, they kind of mixed it up a little bit. So the killer now is this character named Hae-chi. And you know, basically this character is it has a gray zone, because even though it's a serial killing person, he only chooses to kill other bad guys or murderers. So the movie is sort of an introspective feel on how, you know, it is that the police who are out to get the bad guys are also, you know, sort of, you know, our main character always sort of seems to be pushing the limits of the law to get the bad guys into jail. So in this movie, basically, we have a different cast. We have Chung Hae-in, who comes out as sort of a really eager, young, you know, police officer that's on his team. And the story is a little bit more, I would say, introspective, and also kind of deconstructing what the first movie did. So in that way, it was very surprising. But in other aspects, I think some of the audience members were expecting the same kind of, you know, what sequels do is like basically go through the same formula. But I think director Woo Sung-han really sort of wanted to do something, a different take, and also put into the question like morality, like are the police on the right side of the law sometimes, because the bad guy seems to be killing the bad guys too. So, you know, it was kind of interesting in that way.
Well, you just touched upon a little bit of the first and the second movie, but it is really difficult not to notice that the two movies are being compared to each other. And some people have expressed their disappointment regarding the second series. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I think in the first one, it was really about a clear bad guy that you're just going, a very clear cut, like who the good guy was. Hwang Jung is the good guy, Yoo Ah-in's the bad guy. In this one, you know, it kind of splits that dichotomy between good and bad. So, you know, the audience is kind of made to feel like, okay, who's on the right here? And then you have this eager character of Chung Hae-in, who represents sort of the new MZ generation that's trying to play in this new world. And I think one of the things that was missing in the second film is the other cast of characters, like you have Chang Yun-ju and Chang Yeon, all these people that were kind of like sub-characters that made a lot of humor in the first one. The second one seems to be a little bit more serious. There's actually, what's interesting about the movie title in English is called I, the Executioner.
Right.
It's actually a reference to a Japanese film that came out in the 60s by Tai Kato about a serial killer that was doing it. So I think the director wanted to kind of make a statement. I think Woo Sung-han's a really interesting director, because he's definitely a big box office draw director, but he also takes on certain, different themes in his movies. He made a movie about Japanese occupation of Korea. And so he's a director that I think now in his sort of, he's hitting the age 50, and I think he's starting to think, I don't want to just make popular films. I want to have social commentary and things like that in the movies. And I think in some ways the mainstream audience is like, I just want to have fun, forget about my problems. I don't want to sit here thinking about the morality and things like that. So I think in that sense, it hasn't done as well as the first movie. But again, like all sequels, it's really hard to create the same kind of buzz that you had 9 years ago, and since then we've had Roundup, all these detective dramas that have really kind of come out into the field. So it's a kind of competing with those kinds of films for the audience as well.
Competing with the original one, yes.
So yeah, Professor, let's move away from the thriller to now drama, or I guess romance as well. Love in the Big City is a movie based on a novel. Now, it revolves around the queer scene in the city of Seoul and lives in the lives of young people, What is it about this movie that's attracting viewers to the theatre?
I think, right now, number one was Executioner, and then for a while, number two was Love in the Big City. It's not a huge number. It's still less than 1 million. I think it's like, as of yesterday, it was like 500,000 people went to see it in the theater. But it's surprising for that number because the movie deals with, basically it's based on a novel, as you said, and it has sort of homosexual themes in it. There's also the main character is played by Kim Go-eun, who plays like a college. It starts with college in the 20s, and then there's Hong Sun, who's played by Steve No from Pachinko, and he comes out as a gay character. And so these two people are attracted to each other not by wanting to be sort of romantic links, but they kind of find a kindred spirit with each other. They understand each other. And what I found really refreshing about the movie was that Korea is a very conservative society. People really have a hard time coming out now. It's still a big issue in Korea. A lot of conservative religious people are against, this kind of thing. And in this novel, I heard it was even shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize that, Kang won. But basically, it's refreshing in the sense that, basically, modern love in the 21st century, it's sort of like with all the LGBTQ or transgender stuff happening, it really kind of addresses those kinds of things and treats people that are, of a different sexual orientation in a very normal way. And that's what I found really refreshing. And the movie has serious themes, but at the same time, there's an underlying sense of humor about the whole thing. And the director, Yeon이, really, she's done movies like Detective and ING. And she has a kind of a comic feel about stuff and her drama and stuff like that. So just having young MZ generation people come out, whether you're gay or straight, we all have the same problems. We want good jobs, we want security, we want love. And so those were kind of themes that I think people are really attracted to. And I also noticed in the audience that there are a lot of couples.
Yes, definitely a movie to look out for if you haven't watched it yet. Now, Professor So, let's talk about a movie that was just released 2 days ago on Wednesday and went straight to the top of the box office, actually. Now, for 2 days, Normal Family or 보통의 가족 is at the top, and it's receiving much attention for being a well-made suspense film featuring very big names here. We have 설경구, 장동건, 김희애, and Sooyeon as the main characters. So what is your expectations about this movie, which really evolves around, I would have to say, moral conflicts?
Yes, again, moral conflicts.
Yeah.
So, I watched the movie and I was kind of amazed by the stars in it, the big stars. It's hard to really get these stars like Chang Dong-gun or Seol Kyung-gu. They're really sought after stars, and Kim Hye. But the director is Heo, who did Christmas in August. So he's made many films. He's sort of a revered filmmaker in Korea. And so everybody's sort of wondering what he would do. And ironically, he's also directing one of the episodes of the TV series adaptation of Love in the Big City.
Oh, okay. Right.
So
That's
there are
also
4
coming out.
parts of that, and Heo, the director that did Normal Family, is directing one of the episodes of that. So it's adapted into a series as well. But the Normal Family, what I found about it was really well made. First of all, the drama kind of flows really easily. It's really easy to watch, and also, it's about 2 brothers and then their families, and then a tragedy hits that they have a moral question, and one's a lawyer, another one's a doctor. So basically representing sort of I would say the middle high class of Korean society. And if something like that happens in your family with your children, what would you do is the question they ask. And it kind of like I was thinking that it's almost like watching a series on Netflix or something like that, but done in a basically like a 2-hour format. So you get the whole thing. But the performances of Chang Dong-gun, Kim Hee-ae, and also Soo-hyun, she was really terrific. She's one of the English speaking. She's in Fantastic Beasts,
Right.
And I think the second Avengers story, or the first one, she's in that. So the performances are really great, and I think what really kind of hits hard is what the youth of Korea today has to face. Like, what are their future prospects, and then do the rich really, people that are well-to-do, what would you do if you had the situation where you have to, basically choose the justice way of doing things, or the way, like, basically just putting things under the rug and going past it. So it's a question that I think will make audiences really interested in watching the movie.
Including myself, I also felt myself in a dilemma watching that movie right on the release day. But our final question to you, Professor So, are there any trends or common elements in the recent movies that are making Korean movies so popular these days? Very briefly.
Well, as you know, the Korean movie industry is not doing that well after COVID, because of the entrance of all these streaming services that, not from Korea, that came in, that kind of took over the world, actually. Many other sort of cinemas around the world were returning to normal numbers, but Korea was basically, now people are very skittish about going to see a movie. I've asked people around me, and I would ask even my students who are filmmakers, like, where do you watch most of your movies? And it's on a computer or on a television set. So, but what happens is, when we're faced with that kind of sort of, I think, a danger point in Korean cinema, I think what happens is a lot of interesting films have to come out. Like, we've had this year Exuma, which is a very Korean tale about, shamanism and the occult, things like that. Or, the Executioner, again, it's a sequel, but he kind of changed it up for that. And Love in the Big City, again, dealing with homosexuality in the 21st century in Korea is a big theme. So what's happening is we're seeing a trend towards sort of themes and subject matter that hasn't been covered in Korean movies before. Also smaller budgets, because there's so many failures in the box office. So they're kind of lowering the budget so that they have more return when they sort of succeed. So I think there's a little bit of hope. I'm hoping that newer stories, newer issues that come out in the cinemas to sort of revamp what we had in terms of all the audience sort of popularity with going to see movies on the big screen.
Looking forward to all of those new movies. Thank you very much for that, Professor So. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Walter, for that. I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. I wish you a pleasant weekend, maybe at the movies or with a good book. Please join us again next week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Korea time.